Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Messages of Inspiration and Hope. This show got started during the pandemic. We're going to be joined by two great guys today, good friends of mine. One is Dandy Don Mcgrath. Dandy Don is going to share with us how the Messages of Inspiration and Hope grew from a fledgling little Zoom, Facebook Live during the pandemic to become such a popular show that's now on E360 TV. Our second guest is going to be Mr. Preston Martelly. Preston and his wife and kids traveled around the world for 1 full year. It was a vacation work or work vacation. He'll share about that with us. But he was able to maintain his business, living the laptop lifestyle career. We'll be back with Dandy Don in just one moment, but I need to share with you just very quickly a message from Charlene Fouts.
Hi, and welcome to the Messages of Inspiration and Hope show that's proudly sponsored by the 6-Minute Webinar. Today we have some exciting and very interesting guests, real people just like you and me. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the show. Now here's Jim.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really glad to be back with you. And let me invite Mr. Dandy Don Mcgrath to the stage with us. He's in the studio. And Mr. Don Mcgrath, how you doing, sir?
Great, Jim. Thanks so much for having me today. I'm I've been so looking forward to this first show of Messages of Hope and Support on E360 TV. Just so excited about where things have gone.
Me and you both. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to share a little bit about how this whole show came together because of the pandemic. It was back on a Wednesday, March the 18th. Don, you and I, we've been talking about, what can we do? Because we're the co-founders of Speakers Pathway Coalition. We had members. Of course, all of us was in lockdown. We were scared about the virus. Let's be honest. I mean, all we heard was doom and gloom, and we're not going to have enough toilet paper. And oh my gosh, this is going to get bad and ugly in a hurry. But we came together, and we're going to meet with our executive training directors. And our attitude was, what can we do? We're not going to hide or be scared, or because some people were, as you very well know, some people were just, locked into their house. They were migrating into solitary confinement. They were just living inside of a mental prison. And Don, you and I, we just came up and decided we're going to sit down and have a mastermind with our executive training directors, didn't we, sir?
Yeah, and it was kind of like many things. It happened a little bit by accident because I typically run those team meetings. And it was just like any other team meeting. I came in and I'm like an operations guy, like, okay, what's going on? Who's doing what? And it was Bill Heinrich, one of our executive training directors, said, hold on. I mean, we're all like, this is so weird. I don't know about you, but he said, I'm totally lost. And we were like, yeah, so am I, right? Because there's so much uncertainty. No one knew it was up, down, sideways, inside, or outside. And so we had that brainstorm right then and there. We said, well, okay, that's great. We're all struggling, and many, almost everybody on the planet is. So what are we going to do? We can complain about it, but what are we going to do? Right, Jim? That's what we said. And what you remember, what happened?
Yeah, we just came together. We just kind of like, okay, what can we do? We were just having just a simple mastermind of people who, well, we've got a track record of coming from the heart, so that's a good place to start when you're trying to do something good. And Bill Heinrich, he was sitting there and he says, hey, I don't remember his exact words, but it was kind of like, we know a lot of speakers. We got Zoom. We can do Facebook Live. Let's just put on a webinar, a series of webinars. Call it Messages of Inspiration, Hope, and Support. And then immediately, everybody just embraced it. We go like, wow. What, and what I remember from that conversation, and correct me if I'm wrong, Don, but I remember, one person saying, well, I can do this. And another, yeah, I can do that. And Jim, you're going to be the host. Okay. They probably figured I couldn't do anything, technically, so I could just sit behind the mic and, talk. So That's how I wound up with that job. And Don, that was on Wednesday, March the 18th. And then on Monday, March the 23rd, what happened? Share the story how I'll let you go ahead.
So I believe it was that next Monday, we actually held our first show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're at this meeting and Bill says, let's do this thing. And everybody, you're right. We were all on board. Yes, yes, yes. What can I do? Oh, I can make this. I can do a call for speakers. So we basically created a landing page, like the next morning, created a landing page, very, very simple landing page, and a little bit of copy, said call for speakers, message. Do you have a message of inspiration, hope, or support? Well, come share on our virtual stage. Really, really simple. Posted it around the interweb. Within 24 hours, we had more than 60 speakers registered. I maybe like 10, right? So all of a sudden, this went from being an idea to like, holy man, we actually have to make this happen. So, and then by the end of the weekend, I think we had over 100.
Yes,
we had over 100 speakers signed up, and we held our first show on Monday. And talk about a whirlwind. I mean, success rewards
action, as he always says. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we started that thing out. It was we were doing 3 speakers per day, 5 days a week. I was doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Don had to fill in on Friday because I had to cover our radio show, which was live at the same time. And we've had our radio show on TogiNet, TOGINET.com since April the 5th of 2019. And in July, Don, we surpassed 5 million downloads of our show, and we're on, many platforms from iHeartRadio, iTunes, Amazon Music, so on and so forth. But my point being is that whenever we just, here again, Don and I, we were hosting the radio show, and Don had to take the webinar series. And here again, Bill Heinrich says, hey, I'll help you, Jim. And he's been co-hosting there, and it's just been a wonderful thing. The moral of the story, and the reason why we want to share this with you, is that when things go tough and when you feel like you're backed up against the wall, because we were definitely backed up against the wall. We were inside the house. I mean, you couldn't even go downtown to hardly do anything. Let's get the necessities or something. And the main thing to do is get with people who have the same type of heart that you have, people who care, because that's who we are. That's how we created Speakers Pathway Coalition, because Don and I, our paths kept crisscrossing, and we just didn't like what we saw in the speaking industry, because we're professionally trained speakers. And we're talking, a large 5-digit income, or a 5-digit expenditure of funds to get a certificate that says I can speak. And we came together, and it was because we wanted to make a difference, didn't we, Don?
We did. Because neither one of us are spring chickens, right? We've had our careers. We've done a lot in our lives, and now is the time to give back. And so when we saw what was going on, and that's where, 8 out of 10 people in one of these very expensive $2,000 to $4,000 a day training academies, 8 out of the 10 people who might be in there didn't get any result. The two out of 10 probably were at the right place at the right time. But 8 out of 10 just didn't get the support that was ongoing, or they weren't ready. And so we said there must be a better way. And so we came up with Speakers Pathway Coalition, and it's been a great ride. We've helped a lot of people to really not just in speaking, but to get momentum in their businesses.
You're exactly right. And the interesting thing about it is that when we started out to help speakers get from the sidewalk to the stage. It was a very simple, narrow type of, aim or goal. And what we attracted mainly ladies that was 35 or up. I think our average age group was 35 to 45, right in there. And they had been in business online for about 10 years. They'd had very little to no success. They were looking for someone that could provide training and focus and things like that. And that's what came to us. That's what we attracted. Little did we know that they weren't really interested in speaking. And the show here again, just like this little show, evolved and got recognized. And we actually got invited to join the E360 TV show by my good friend Tamara Hunter. She has a Service Heroes here on E360 TV. She's a very special lady. In fact, Don, you've worked with her on her board before, hadn't you? Her nonprofit.
I had. I met Tamara way before I met you, Jim, at various events.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Tamara has a heart of gold, and her cause is just absolutely fantastic. Mm-hmm. But what we saw was, a lot of the people who came and joined Speakers Pathway as members, they wanted to speak. Mm-hmm. But once we got to know what they were about, that was just one more thing that they were trying to do when they really weren't getting the success in their business. So often what we did, we'd say, okay, well, speaking, okay, but let's get some cash flowing in your business. Let's find one thing that's been working the best, and let's get it working really well and get some cash flowing so you could continue to pay us. And then you can go, grow your other programs. And that's been kind of the path that we've been on in understanding our business.
Mm-hmm. And during this pandemic and the growth of this little webinar series, because like I say, we started with the Zoom on Facebook Live, and that was it, because that's all we could do. Everybody was, we had to have a virtual stage. And Don, you remember that this thing actually spawned the 6-minute webinar. And that 6-minute webinar here again, that had some very humble beginnings. And I've been involved in a couple embarrassing situations. And this, in the beginning of the 6-minute webinar, ladies and gentlemen, was one of them. I wish I was making this up, because I had set up the place we were going to have a meeting at. I had the Airbnb. The Airbnb went good, except for the bonfire. We'll talk about that later on with Preston. But I was involved in that too. But anyway, we were prompt. We got this place, and then they were going to help us, and they were going to do all these things, and they did not. Somebody shows up, and they're looking at me because I'm the main guy. I was the POC, the point of contact. Where is everybody? I don't know. 12 people showed up. I was extremely embarrassed, and I know Don was, bless his heart, he was upset with me, but being a fine fellow he was, he figured, well, and just overlook Jim and forgive him. But what happened at that event springboarded the 6-minute webinar, and it came to life during the pandemic. And Don, I'm going to let you take and share that story with the audience, please, sir.
So, I do remember that day.
Oh, I do too.
I'm a big planner, right? And so I remember walking in there and there being like just 5 people when I first got there. I was like, oh my goodness. And I remember, this is the power of our team. I remember Bill Heinrich saying to me, Don, it's perfect. Mm-hmm. It's exactly what it needs to be today. And how sentient was that? Because so we had 12 people. We totally changed the training. Mm-hmm. We figured instead of just having people come up and share, we would give everybody a chance to come up on stage and get the chance to do an introduction, get a chance to give their talk, get a chance to do a call to action, and even do a little speak off. So we totally pivoted and transformed. Mm-hmm. And the training that we put together and gave that weekend, Jim, oh my God, it was people gave 6-minute talks, and they were incredibly powerful. And some of our members have gone on to use those just as their main marketing thing to get new clients.
I've got to tell you about the Kaching lady, Stephanie Dwayne. She was there, and she did the 6-minute webinar. I got a little bit of an echo there. I don't know what it is. Do you hear it, Don?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, I'll just ignore it and go on. Hope it's not too much trouble for you folks out there. But Stephanie, she embraced the 6-minute webinar. We didn't call it that then. It's called a 6-minute talk. But she embraced it. And she went like, wow, this is neat. She goes back to Florida, and she starts using it. And she told Don, this is my personal ATM machine. So that's why I call it Kaching lady. And then she kept mentioning to Don, says, hey, when are you going to do that 6-minute webinar again, or that 6-minute talk again? When are you going to do it again? When you going to do it again? And then the pandemic come, and then we started the webinar series, and it just all came together without, it's certainly no help from me. I mean, it wasn't my brainchild. I can tell you that right now. I'll be honest about it. But
I still remember we were doing the messages of inspiration, and we were getting quite a following. We had, over 100 people who really loved what we were doing. And so I had taken the opportunity to put together some webinars, some classes, webinars that sell was one of them. There were a few different ones, storytelling for fun and profit. So I was doing some of these, and I remember I did one, and Bill happened to be on it, and I wanted some feedback. So I called Bill afterwards, and I said, "So Bill, what'd you think that?" He said, "Yeah, I think that was really good. That's really good." He says, "But remember that 6-minute talk training that we did?" And I was like, "Yeah, Stephanie and others keep bugging us to do it, but we just haven't." And he said, "What if we did training around a 6-minute webinar?" And that was the beginning of it. So we got the domain, and within a few days, both of us had created 6-minute webinars, and the framework took shape, all based upon that training that we did in Phoenix the previous October. And that has just continued to grow and expand and help so many people with clarifying their message.
Oh, it really has. And the moral of the story, and the reason I want to share that with you, ladies and gentlemen, is because take it from a guy like me. I mean, I goofed up big time. It was embarrassing, but I'm kind of looking now. Next time I goof up, I might get excited because whenever something goes wrong, always come from the heart and always say, "Okay, own it." Be mature enough to say, "Okay, it was my fault." Just like I admitted here to millions of people around the world, which is no big deal because I'm telling the truth. But most importantly, own it, and then look for ways to take that disadvantage and turn it into an advantage. And that's exactly what we did. And the 6-minute webinar, oh my goodness gracious. Don, share a little bit about that. And I want you to also talk about Mr. Script Pal.
Yeah, so the 6-minute webinar is a method. It's a technology basically where and it's turned into something even more so. But it was originally a framework for a webinar where you could very simply and very easily answer some questions and then map that into a script that was around 6 minutes. It was all based upon the framework we put in place the previous October. And basically, when you went through that and recorded it, it created a powerful message that really moved people to action. And it includes all the things that you and I learned in all the speaking academies and everything, right? It walks people through the process they need to go to in order to be moved to action. So that's a 6-minute webinar. And Bill and I had done a couple of boot camps. And there's two fundamental challenges with putting together a 6-minute webinar. One is getting clarity on your message, and the other is mapping that into a framework. And so we realized how hard it is to do both of those in a boot camp. We focused on one time and the other another time. And so I got thinking after our last boot camp when Bill and I did a debrief, and we realized this challenge. And my mind, just being the inventor that I am, went like the scientist from Back to the Future. And I woke up at 4:00 in the morning, and I sat down and I created a way to ask 40 questions to extract all the information and then map those automatically into a 6-minute webinar script with the proper framework. And I went on to create a software around that's called Script Pal. And Script Pal is a little guy who helps you. He's just like a pal that helps you create your 6-minute webinar script.
Yeah, because I really like it because you answer the questions, and from there you just hit submit, and both sides just come together and fill it in. It's just beautiful. And here again, using Stephanie Dwayne, the ka-ching lady. She don't mind me. She always laughs when I call her the ka-ching lady. But when she left Phoenix, she used the foundation of the 6-minute talk because she's a clinical hypnotist. She helps people with all sorts of problems from, let's say, stop smoking, losing weight. And the 6-minute webinar, what it is in a nutshell, is that if you're in a group of people that you're really wanting to lose weight, that's all you want to hear is how can a person, identify this was how I struggled with the problem. This is how I solved the problem. This is what I can do for you, all in 6 minutes. Because you don't want to hear anything about someone that's dealing with anxiety or someone that wants to quit smoking or anything. In other words, the shotgun effect is not for you. It doesn't work for you. That's the beauty in the 6-minute webinar. Plus the fact is, we know all webinars, my goodness gracious, they go on sometimes for 20 minutes about the problem. And are you talking about the problem, or are you talking about me talking?
No, it's just what we hear from webinars right here. Oh, I'm so great, and I'm so great. Here's why you should believe me. I've had so many people come to us after they experience the 6-minute webinar say, we're so burnt out on webinars. All we do is hear somebody for 30 minutes tell us how great they are and why we should believe them. Why do we need to know that? And so, we strip away all that junk and get right to the perfect message.
Yeah, because the 6-minute webinar is that when you tune into it, you're just wanting to know if that person can solve your problem, and what their procedure is, whatever they do, does that fit your needs? That's all you want to know. You don't want to care about how many degrees they got, or you don't want to hear them go on for 20 minutes on, let me tell you about the problem. Well, if you know what the problem is, otherwise you wouldn't be there. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just bad. I don't know who dreamed up the original webinars to make them 20 minutes long on just yakking away about who they are and why you should listen to them and all that. But it seemed to be an epidemic of those things, huh, Don?
Well, it's the way things were done, and they worked. It did work. And I think it was based upon what people had been doing from stage for a long time, an hour-long talk where you would spend 20 minutes talking about yourself and telling your story. And, now people don't want to hear that anymore, I think. And there's very few people. Here's the problem. So it's really hard to get to someone to come to an hour-long webinar these days.
Oh, yeah.
People don't want to do it. Now imagine if I said, hey, check out my hour-and-a-half-long webinar where I show you this, that, and the other. But now if I said, come check out my 6-minute webinar where I will show you how to solve your problem, now you're much more likely to go to that one, aren't you?
Absolutely, because you're just hitting the high points. And I love it when you design it, you're going to say, during the 6-minute webinar, I'm going to give you 3 things, or going to clarify 3 things. And that is so great, because the person that knows just by listening, they're going to be getting some value from that 6-minute webinar. And that's so important, because you don't waste people's time. And that's the beauty of the 6-minute webinar, because a person can click on it and you're going to tell them right up front what it's about. So actually, if it's not for them, they're out of there, and they don't waste their time or anyone else's time.
And that's perfect, right? In the first sentence of the 6-minute webinar is, welcome to the 6-minute webinar, where I will show you how to instantly and effortlessly attract coaching clients. If you don't want coaching clients, you're out of Dodge, and that's great. Yeah. You shouldn't listen anymore. But if you want more coaching clients, tell me more, right?
Yeah.
And then you walk the people through the process of, hey, either they want your help, but they don't. It's just that simple.
I remember our good friend, Emerson Brantley. We were sitting in class, and he made a comment. And of course, Emerson he's a marketing guru. We got a lot of respect for him. He's been on our radio show. Emerson was sitting there on the stage, and he says, now, remember, folks, when you do a good marketing campaign, the first thing that your marketing campaign should do is repel all the people that you can't help. Get rid of them. Get out of there. And I thought, well, that's kind of, contrary about what I've always heard. You always thought you want to tell everybody everything, see how many you can, attract. But it's a totally different thing, because the 6-minute webinar really fine tunes it down how you can communicate directly with one of your clients who needs your special thing in their hour of need. That's what it's about. Oh my goodness. That's why it's so sweet.
It is. And one of the things that we're discovering as it evolves is the 6-minute webinar itself, and the piece of marketing collateral you get in the form of video and a script is powerful and is very useful. I think what's even more powerful is the copy inside your script. I have actually used the copy inside a 6-minute webinar to build out pretty much an entire funnel. because it's all there. Like the
Yeah.
headline's there, who you help is there, the value stack is there, all the language is there that you need to build out an entire funnel. And so stay tuned on that, because we're going to be going further with that in the upcoming months.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And tomorrow we're going to have Mr. 6-Minute Webinar, Mr. Bill Heinrich on the show with us. And I'm going to stop just for a moment, and I want to play a commercial on the 6-Minute Webinar. This is Rich Parsons, one of the individuals who's been with us. And Rich wanted me to, he wanted to share this message with you. So we'll be right back just after this second.
The 6-Minute Webinar allows you to create a marketing product in a fraction of the time that it would typically take to create a webinar. And when you follow the simple process, you will provide laser-focused content to your ideal customers. And the nice thing is, it's repeatable for any product or service that you offer. My name's Rich Parsons, founder of Higher Calling Consulting. And creating my own 6-minute webinars has allowed me to have a 24/7 marketing presence for my ideal clients. So I encourage you to make the 6-minute webinar part of your business marketing strategy too.
And we're back. I tell you, Rich wanted me to do that, and I'm the one that added the music, ladies and gentlemen, so I like music. So I know I need to redo that and lower the music, so I apologize for that. So whenever I goof up, I say, it's me. So nobody knows it was Rich. But Rich he really hit the nail on the head there, didn't he?
He did. This is all about a laser-focused message. Mm-hmm. And, Rich actually can help a lot of people. He does coaching. He helps job seekers. He does mindset work. He has a magazine that he's getting ready to come out with. So he can help a lot of people. But if he tries to help all people and formulate a marketing message for all that he doesn't help anyone.
That's right.
So he's creating 6-minute webinars, one for his magazine, one for his mindset, one for his book, one for his job seeker work that he does. So he's able to hone that ideal message that reach out and people say, that's me. That's my problem.
Yeah. And the good news is, ladies and gentlemen, Rich is going to be with us on Wednesday. He's going to be here on the show Wednesday. So you'll get to hear from him. And he's a great guy. He's been on the Message of Inspiration. In fact, that's how we found him, I think. That's when I first met him, because he's been on there twice that I know of. The Message of Inspiration, Hope, the original series. And I tell you, we got a good friend of ours that's waiting in the wings. He wants to come on board. And I got to tell this story here quickly before we come into Phoenix. Let me just bring him on board here and get I'm going to add him to the stream anyway. Hey, Preston, how you doing?
Hey, guys, how you doing?
Doing good. I got to tell this story in Phoenix because we were there in Phoenix. We were at this event, and there was a lady there, a good friend of ours. We all know her, Olivia Damas. She had this deal where you put the goggles on. It had light energy, and it was all this stuff. And you laid down flat, and it's supposed to be very relaxing and all that. But I didn't find the light show. I found it more distraction than relaxing. So I saw Preston get up there. He lays down. And so I waited to get the goggles on. So I walked up there, and his feet's up here in the air like that. So I grab his toes and I start wiggling back and forth. I'm waiting for him to pop the goggles up and look at me and say, would you leave me alone? And he was just laying there like, I guess this is part of the light show.
I thought
I tell you, when we get together, ladies and gentlemen, we have fun because everything we do is from the heart. And at that event there, Preston, you were there when we only had 12 people, and you saw all the training that went on there. In fact, you won the big gift there. You won the green screen set, didn't you?
Yes,
Best
I got
speaker.
the good video presentation setup that I still use.
Okay. Oh,
right
okay.
Right over here.
Yeah. And it was a tremendous event. My goodness gracious, the energy there, it was just tremendous because we taught people how to come on stage, how to, step into the light, all those things. We went through the nuts and bolts, and everybody just loved it, which it kind of took us back a little bit because, I mean, we really didn't realize how much value we were providing for folks. And there on stage, when you were given your 6-minute talk, Preston, you earned the title of Mr. Google, didn't you, sir?
That's when the title stuck. Google Geek.
The Google Geek.
Yes.
Yeah. And Don got the title of the Speaking Geek. But Preston, welcome to the show. And I'm going to give you a chance just to you share a little bit about yourself with the folks out there. And the stage is yours, my man.
Well, first off, thank you so much to both of you guys for having me on here. Jim, this is an absolute honor. Don, it's so nostalgic, working with us in this opportunity again. This is amazing. We got some great history, great stories that I know that can probably take on a full hour or two of stories that we got under our belts. But thank you so much. My key part was, I've been with Speakers Pathway, part of that team and that community from day one. And I really got to see this grow into quite an opportunity. And like you said, with things that happened, COVID, there are two ways you can look at it. It was very, very challenging, a lot of uncertainty, right? But unfortunately, in certain industries, took a turn for the better, right? And myself running a digital marketing agency, that's exactly what happened to me. The more that things became less of the traditional way of doing things to becoming more virtual, my business just started exploding, right? We just started, getting, I was hiring new people, trying to build my team, trying to just catch up to the point where it got to the point where I was like, whoa, I gotta hold on to the horses before I get kicked off. So,
oh yeah, your growth was just exponentially, and we're so proud of you. But that was in the introduction of the show. I mentioned that you and your wife and children, you guys traveled. In fact, you shared this story at the Pathway for Vets event up there in Colorado Springs in January 2019. And I'd like for you to share the story of how you and your wife and kids just traveled around the world for 1 year. You lived a laptop lifestyle career, and you were able to maintain your business, and the kids were able to have a vacation of a lifetime. Let's face it. And first of all, how did that come about? Who came up with that idea, Preston?
How did that come about? I think it was definitely some kind of intervention happening, because I think they were prepping us for COVID. So we kind of learned how to live virtually back then and go online. But I mean, it's funny looking back. Somebody made that comment the other day. Is like, this experience is kind of, I'm used to that, because I'm used to kids learning from home, working with all my clients remotely, and doing all these things because of the laptop lifestyle. And that's pretty much what it created, right? It didn't start off that way. It was pretty much a dream. Like a lot of people do have that dream of, of traveling, of, going to see different places, taking your family to see all the amazing things in life. And I mean, I hadn't even done that myself, right? In terms of growing up, we had a vision that we had from years ago to be able to, go and travel. But we all thought that, we had to be multi-millionaires to be able to do that, right? Because just kind of that perception of what it was. All we realized that we just needed a steady flow of income and a steady flow of customers to make that happen, right? So back in 2017, everything was kind of lining up properly. We had a good base of customers. I had a good system in place from a digital marketing perspective, from what I've done. And we decided to take our 4 kids, right? They were all under 10 at the time. And we decided to take all 4 of them and start from the furthest point. We're in Canada. We went to the furthest point, which is China at the time, and start to explore the world, give them a year of world education, right? Well, let me tell you, that experience alone was not only very, it was amazing, but in the time, there are a lot of challenges that come up, right? That you've got to remember, like what you guys mentioned, you've got to take advantage of opportunities, because when we started traveling, the challenges that came up, and that would probably cause a lot of people to panic and quit, right? So for example, one of the first things we did was when we left China, we went to Bali. We ended up loving Bali, right? So we were planning on doing, 2 to 3 weeks in each country and then move on. And then we ended up going to Bali, and then we said we're going to stay, right? Well, when we missed, that was cool until we missed the flight, right? When the flight actually passed, that's when reality kicks in, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, it's sink or swim. And that's what we did. So we after we passed the date, we decided we're not going to pre-plan the rest of the vacation. We're gonna grow with the energy. We're gonna go with how things are going, and then that's when the real fun happened. Because we were always scared of what's gonna happen if, you know, how are we gonna get back home? We're gonna think, and then once we realized, once we were actually doing that, that was the best part of the journey, right? Where we got to go to countries that we learned about or we heard about that we wanted to experience, or if the kids were studying something in school. Believe it or not, when we went to Vietnam, the reason we went to Vietnam was because the kids were going to be studying reptiles and reptiles and so forth. And we learned that in Vietnam, they had the best snake museum in the world, and they had the best crocodile farm in the world. So we went there just for that reason, right? And it was just a matter of, you know, going with the motion of how things was. So my story, my summary to that story is that, you know, you got to go with the energy, go with the flow, right? And don't be afraid to take that jump at times.
Oh yeah. I was going to say, I can definitely attest to the fact that there's not a shortage of snakes in Vietnam. I was there 69, 70, and they got some bad boys over there. I'll tell you right now. They make our snakes look like candy boys. I mean, compared to them, because they got some, you know, the neurotoxins over there are very, very potent. And of course, you don't get snake book anywhere, but I mean, that one over there, that'd make you want to sleep with one eye open. But what was the most expensive country that you experienced there in your travels, would you say?
Well, we went to the most expensive country. We went to Abu Dhabi, right, which is right off of Dubai. So I think we spent, that was our shortest stay. We spent like 2 days there. It was very expensive, but very, very nice, and it was cool to show you know, the kids what that luxury lifestyle was all about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which one of the countries did the kids say they liked the best, or did they have different picks or whatever?
There are lots to choose from, but one of the ones that we found that everybody, myself included, really loved was we went to Sri Lanka, right? Which Sri Lanka is definitely not. When we went from Sri Lanka to Dubai, which is a complete contrast. But what we found that we did differently when we went to Sri Lanka was we stayed with a local family. We stayed in an Airbnb. And you would probably relate to this. You guys would probably relate to this, because I can definitely relate to it. When I was growing up, right? You remember that when you grew up in the communities, everybody knew everybody. Everybody's parents was your parents, and you know, you eat it wherever the food is available. Well, in Sri Lanka, it was we stayed with one family, and they were on like about a 2-acre lot, and in the back had his parents, then his wife's parents, then his wife's brother and sister, and we were all like one big thing. And the kids were out running around, like, you know, with no care in the world. There was an abundance of fruits and vegetables, and the people were just so nice, right? So nice. And remember, Sri Lanka they just went through, where we stayed at was the community that got hit by the tsunami back in 2001, right? So that was a very changing thing to see, because there's a whole missing population right there. Right, because remember they lost a lot of people in that time, so it was the most educational, because we learned to appreciate the things that we had. Right, there was only enough internet. Remember this? There's only enough internet for me to work. So for that entire 6 weeks that we spent there, the kids hardly had any laptop time, no tablets. Right, it was card games every night. Right, and that's when we really bonded with game night.
Oh yeah, I bet so, because when you mention all the kids playing and all that, I mean, that's a kid's paradise in the summertime, being with other kids playing games. And I remember growing up, and we grew up on a farm. All the kids around us did, there in North Carolina. And we didn't have many toys or anything like that, and the things that we made toys out of, like bricks and things like this, and brick would be a bulldozer, and man, we could have a lot of fun with that, because it really challenged the kids' mind to be able to have imagination. And I think that's something that's very beneficial for kids as growing up. I really do. And Don, I know that you growing up there, and you were upstate New York. You were in a small town, weren't you?
Yeah, very small town, about 6,000 people. And yeah, we played with rocks, like rocks and pieces of fence. But one thing, Preston, as you were telling your story, that is a recurring theme for the day, I think, is, and Bill reminds us of this all the time, that our lives truly are out of control.
Oh, yeah.
And the more we try to control them, the more misery in general. And so just the thought of being able to be okay to like go with the flow, right? And COVID has taught us this too, right? We are not in control at all. Like at all. If there's anything that it's really taught us is we are not in control. And so I love your story about once you kind of made a leap and the airplane went, you surrender and stopped controlling. And that's when the real fun happened.
Right.
Yeah.
And just to add to that fear of it, I don't know if you guys remember, but in the news back in 2017, there was actually an active volcano in Bali. So not only did we let our flight go, there was a chance that if this thing happened, nobody was going.
Nobody was going to go home at all, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I tell you, that's really amazing. Because I've often thought about, when you're traveling around the world for one entire year, and because I know being in the military for 31 years, you only take the essentials. You're not going to take all the creature comforts with you in a bag because it's not going to fit. It's going to be over the weight limit. But, did you miss a lot of things from back home that you wish you had with you, or did you just kind of like, okay, it's not with me, so I'm just going to roll with the flow? I mean, how'd that happen for you?
This is going to blow your mind.
Okay.
Picture this. We left with 6 suitcases. So just picture that. An entire family. We lived from our whole house where we lived the life of consumerism before, with buying. We left with 6 suitcases, which we thought, like, we stuffed everything that we could into that. Guess how many suitcases we came back with? For 6 people. 2.
So
stuff went, stuff left.
We was just giving stuff away, like clothes we didn't need. We didn't use the kids' toys, books, everything that we thought we needed. We didn't actually need, right? And it was really nice down to the bare bones. We had enough laundry to last us 5 days, right? And we're on the beach every day, so a lot of these are beach shorts, right? And then we had our laptops because we needed our laptops for work. I had a little Wi-Fi dongle that allowed us to access the internet from anywhere. And that was it. And, we'd get a cell phone and as we go. We came back with 2 suitcases, right? Part of that was because, it was amazing. It was amazing. And we felt so liberated from it.
Yeah. Again, it comes back to one of those fundamental fears, right? Loss of control. And I think fear of loss. Like we all fear like, oh, what happens if I lose my job? What happens if, I lose this or lose that? What if and the reality is it could all go and you're okay, right? We all came from having nothing, right? Well, I'm pretty sure when all of us came out, we had nothing.
Yeah.
The birthday suit.
That's it, right? Not even the bathing suit.
Yeah.
Because Bill talks a lot about when you're coming from a survival mode. That's where, you're stuck in the physical, and how if you come from the heart of love, you automatically go into the universe of abundance where there is no limitations. And I think we've all seen that and experienced it in our life. And as you were telling the story about giving away the things that you didn't need, and just the joy of giving someone something that they didn't have.
And they've so appreciated it. Some of these places that we went to, they didn't have, the kids had Lego pieces and these little gaming consoles, and people they were so grateful for that. It changed, and they definitely got way more value than we ever could have from it.
Oh yeah. It's amazing when you give, people things, that in their hour of need, and help them. And that's something that, it's just money cannot buy that type of joy and jubilee it gives you in your heart. It really can't. And I can just, knowing you the way I do, and I've met your wife over the phone, of course, but talking to her, seeing her picture and all, and the way she is, she's not only a very beautiful lady externally, but on the inside, she's a very beautiful lady. And I just salute you on that, because she's a wonderful lady. And your kids, we've seen your kids when we're doing Zooms and all that. And I mean, they're great kids. They really are. You got a wonderful family. You're very blessed, Preston. You're very blessed.
Extremely, extremely. I have great people around me too. So, great mentors, and Don, I always talk. Especially, I was just talking about it this morning on the call with it, and it's important to surround yourself by amazing people. And Don, I'm just gonna share this right now because this happened just this morning. I was talking about oh my gosh, now I'm going for the story, and it just slipped me. It's one of the sayings that Don has all the time that I use. And oh my gosh, the story just slipped me. I had it at the tip of my tongue.
Not
but
success rewards action. Not success rewards
it's
action.
not success rewards action. Actually, there's something else that you taught, and I just used it in a teach out this morning about how powerful and how it changes your life. I know it'll come back to me, but it's really around having people like you guys around. You're not just me, but a lot of people around, and you want to have good people around you that really make you strive to go to that next level, because we're always learning. We can always be better, but having the right people around you to challenge you to get better and better is amazing. And I just want to thank you guys for being amazing role models, because you have impacted my life. Both of you, notably Don, for some of the sayings you have, and then once it comes to me, I'll be, I got it. And then
tell me, I need to trademark it or something.
It has had an incredible impact on me, and I try to share that message with other people as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, one thing about Don, ladies and gentlemen, is that whenever someone is struggling, trying to put their verbiage down or what they want to say, and I mean, with Don, it just comes natural. Just boom, 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 boom. You say something, okay, well, let's change it like this. And hey, that's great. And it's perfect when, just instantaneously. It's a gift that he's got. That's why he has earned the title of being the speaking geek. And we were on the radio. We always call him Dandy Don because he is a dandy guy. And when I enter in Preston, I know you can vouch for this, because when I tell people when they meet Don, he is the friend that they've never met yet. That's the best way I can describe Dandy Don.
I appreciate it.
Well,
it. I've enjoyed all of your friendships, and that's the best thing, when you get a chance to be with people that you admire and appreciate and have great friendships with. That's when the magic happens.
Right.
I see there on your ticker that's coming up there, Preston, you got a website that says javalogics.ca. That's not California, is it?
Not California. That's Canada. I got the .ca domain. Yeah. So I do run. I'm a digital marketing agency, and part of what we do is really helping. Now that I've been able to live that experience, live that lifestyle of building a business online that you can rely on, you can trust. I'm spending my days right now just teaching other people how to do that. Right. So how do you help leverage things like your 6-minute webinar? Absolutely. It was you guys knew how that blew my mind when I saw how we put that together. The 6-minute webinar is absolutely necessary for every business owner out there. You need to have that at the top of your funnel to help you design a sales funnel to move your ideal customer to know, like, and trust you. Right. So, you guys mentioned how important it is to get that together. That does 90% of the work. I'm coming from a marketer. I'm telling you, you need to get that done, because it's really gonna help systemize your process and take off a lot of stress. Where's my next coming from?
And Preston, you're an affiliate with the 6-minute webinar. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So use my link.
Use my link. Absolutely.
No, but if someone would like to get in touch with you and ask you questions about living the laptop lifestyle career, or about the 6-minute webinar, and of course, you be sure and give them your link, how could they get in touch with you email-wise?
Email, the best way to get in touch with me, you can just go to preston@martelly.ca. So just my first name at my last name.ca. And then that way you can get in touch with me, ask any questions, or alternatively on my website, there are tons of ways to get in touch with me, where you can, book a consultation or book just a time to chat, right? There's a link right on there where you can get right into my calendar, and then we can ask any questions you want to know about, the 6-minute webinar, how to leverage it, how to, maybe you're even, you don't even have your product or service defined yet, right? So if you need some help with, Preston at Martelly.ca.
Oh, so it's at Preston or not? Did I get that
Preston
wrong?
at Martelly.ca. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did that wrong. Okay, let me fix it here.
And then you can email me and then I would love to, have a conversation or get to meet you guys.
Yeah, and the 6-minute webinar, like Preston said, even if you don't have clarity, that's the beauty of it. This process helps you to focus on getting clarity around one thing.
Perfect.
Getting clarity around one thing. And so if you're thinking you're all confused, you don't know what you should be focusing on, going through the 6-minute webinar process helps you focus like a laser on one thing and get a really clear message.
It really does, because Don, that's been the one thing that we found when people came to Speaker's Pathway, and I know Preston, you can attest to this, is that when they come in, because I've had people, I've talked to, and I said, what did you want to do? I want to make some money. Well, I understand that, but that's not a good answer. And I mean, that's the reward for your efforts. But what are you going to do to earn that money? Well, I don't know. And they're just, they're just lost is a good way to put it.
Typically what we saw over and over again was, I do this. I help people with their health, and I help them relax, and I do meditation, and I do leadership, and I do right. It's like, my head hurts, right? I don't even know how to have a conversation with you. What do you do? Right.
Yeah. But what do you make money at? Well, just they're struggling.
Uber.
Yeah. Yeah. Because what we found too is that they would start one thing and it didn't work. So they try something else, and they try something else, and they give this away and they give that away, trying to find some type of a combination that would work for them. And I imagine there might be some folks out there in the audience saying, yeah, I can understand that, Jim, because, the 6-minute webinar, I mean, this is not a sales pitch or anything, but what it really does, it really focuses you down to how you can get your message across and build value to be able to help someone in their hour of need. Because if I need help and I'm in my hour of need, you better believe I'm looking for someone that A, I can trust, B, they can solve my problem, and 3, they've got a reasonable price. And of course, in a 6-minute webinar, it's not going to be no $12,000 or anything like that. They got to start out with something that's, reasonable and bite-sized. But I mean, that's the starting point, isn't it, Don?
It is. And Preston, I'd really be interested to know from you, like what have you seen in your area in terms of how are people behaving in terms of what they're looking for due to COVID? I mean, has there been any big shifts that you've seen due to, because people have a lot more time, but I'd be very interested to know, like, what has changed? What have you seen changed?
So some of the biggest changes that we saw were that, the obvious is that the importance for having a solid online presence is more important than ever before. So we get a lot of people in one of two categories. Either they were not online at all, they were completely brick and mortar, and in terms of doing their business, and now it has to go virtual. So they have to get that full transition over into understanding what they did. And then the second thing are people who were kind of online, but not really solid. They've been there, but it wasn't completely a clear online process in place to move their customers through that journey, that buyer journey. So these are the two that we have. So if they hadn't no presence before, we've got to build it. And those who had somewhat of a presence, we had to go back and fix it, right? Because there were, Facebook pages that were created years ago that were abandoned, the YouTube channels that had 2 videos on it. You got to get that all cleaned up. As per new business to market, anything to do with coaching, sharing your knowledge, anything that can be done virtually is huge. It has blown up like no other, because a lot of people have skills. And a lot of people find themselves out of jobs now because companies are, restructuring, resizing. And a lot of people have to, take their talent or their skills and be able to monetize that, right? Well, let me tell you, there's an abundance of ways you can monetize your skills. And there's abundance of people who want to pay you for that skill, right? So very, very important. If you have a passion or there's something that you've been doing for a long time for somebody else, right now is the best opportunity for you to, do something like the 6-minute webinar to laser focus that idea, right? And then once you have that video, that 6-minute video set up, that is the top of your funnel. You've got 90% of it done, right? Then you need somebody like myself or a reputable marketing agency to just automate that process for you, right? Because when you start getting 1 or 2 people coming through, that's okay. But the reality of today, you need hundreds of them coming through, and you need to be able to weed through that. And the only way to do that is with automation, right? So that you don't burn yourself out, right? So Don, I don't know if that answers your question clearly. The biggest demand is people who have a message to share, have a business they want to start, and they got to get started from today.
Well, that's wonderful because everybody has a unique value proposition, right? Everybody has something that they know better than, and they can do better than anybody else on the planet in the way they do it. So to be able to take that and let that loose on the world and help lots of people, it's an incredible opportunity. And so if you're out there and you're watching this and you're thinking, you know, I've got this thing that I've always felt like I could really help a lot of people with, now is your time.
Yes.
Now is your time.
And ladies and gentlemen, we got about 30 seconds left, maybe about 25 seconds. I'm going to give Dandy, Don, and Preston in just a couple of moments just to say a few last parting words before we sign off. Dandy, Don?
So, Jim, thanks for having me today. It's been wonderful to see the journey of where Messages of Inspiration has gone and now to be on TV and exploded to the various channels. I'm just excited to be a part of it. And Preston, it's wonderful to reconnect with you.
Yes, it's awesome. And thank you so much, Jim, as well, for having me on this first show. This is amazing. Don, to reconnect with you. It's amazing. And I look forward to being part of this journey, right? I hope to be back again and help, anybody along the way who has time, who needs some help.
You will be. We ran out of time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you have a blessed day and share the show with others. I'm Jim Grant. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.